Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. State Representative Dan Ugassi of the 65th District. Includes parts of Kane and southern McHenry County. I'm joined today by my colleagues, Representative Martin McLaughlin, Representative Amy Ellick, and Representative Joe Sasnowski. We are here today to talk to you about the situation in businesses trying to reopen within our state, the unemployment situation, as well as IDES. Recently, we have made significant strides in reopening our state. Progress has been made. We've inched forward at some times, gone a little quicker at other times, but we're definitely making progress as each day passes and coming to some sort of normalcy. But a huge part of the recovery is going to be our economy, and that requires our businesses to be able to reopen because business is what drives our economy, and the state of Illinois needs to keep up with the national economy as well. We can't forget about our businesses. They took a tough hit during this pandemic. Those who were allowed to stay open had to take on increased costs, make severe adjustments, as well as just fight to stay afloat during that time. Unfortunately, quite a few of them were forced to close and have never reopened again. So we need to make certain that those that are still here, that are still surviving, that are still fighting to make it and provide our people with jobs in the state of Illinois can survive. I've heard from a handful of local businesses who want to resume businesses, but are having great difficulty doing so because of the inability to find the workforce to come in and work in their businesses. These businesses are what, again, drives our economy, and at a time when so many are already leaving our state, we have to do what we can to help them. Too many times I've heard from businesses in the 65th District that they want to ramp up, expand, or even just get their doors completely open so that they can provide the service they were prior to the pandemic, and yet, again, they can't find the employees to do that. It's time we encourage our workforce to get back to work and realize that we're having to come out of this pandemic. That's going to require them to engage within the workforce again, and that they can do it safely. It's time to foster our economic recovery within the state, and that they have to be a part of that. In order to do so, I believe we need to drastically change the way we're handling unemployment benefits. First, we need to insist that those who are receiving unemployment benefits start looking for work. That was stopped during the pandemic for good reason, but the pandemic's ending, and as I go throughout my district, not just are there business owners contacting me saying we need help with the workforce, I'm seeing signs everywhere, whether it be retail, manufacturing, it doesn't matter. There are signs out, employees are needed, there are positions open for hire. So we need to make certain that if a job's available, someone goes and fills that. In order to do this, we also need to start discussing with the governor when we're going to end the PUA and say, okay, we need it to help those who truly need it, but at some point, we need to bring an end to it. And then third, I think we need to start urging those in the federal government, those who we work with at the federal level, to immediately redirect a sufficient amount of this recent $1.9 trillion that was appropriated for COVID relief, and a lot of it isn't being used now or will maybe never be used, to help redirect it towards child care, because all too often we're hearing that a lot of the reason people are not returning to work is they can't afford the child care that would go with it. Well, if that's the issue, let's get them back to work. Let's get them productive again. Let's get our businesses reopened and provide assistance for child care instead of assistance for them to stay home and do the child care directly. This is about supporting those who need help with the benefits they need while not forgetting about the importance of keeping businesses going for our local economy and our state economy. This is a balance that has been largely ignored, and at times we needed to. But now, if we're truly going to move forward and get back to our path to recovery, this needs to be reset, and these are some of the ways in which to do it. I'm now going to turn it over to State Representative Mark McLaughlin.
Good afternoon. Martin McLaughlin, 52nd District in Illinois, encompasses northwest portion of Illinois, Cary, Barrington, South Barrington, let me think, Wakanda, Algonquin, Carpentersville. If I missed anybody, I apologize. But I wanted to talk today about my experience being a freshman legislator coming out of the private sector into the public sector at the state, and frankly being shocked at the service that's been provided to the residents in the state of Illinois that are most in need. The IDES has failed completely. They haven't just failed recently, they've been continually failing. My legislative director and I have been overwhelmed with calls we've been receiving since January 13th when I took office. We have hundreds of emails from concerned, frustrated, and frightened constituents trying to receive their unemployment benefits or to stop fraudulent claims from occurring. Now, it has been almost 4 months that I've been in office. I've not seen any improvement or any less flow of complaints from those that aren't being served properly. After 14 months, the IDES offices are still closed, and the same problems remain. At the local level, I was mayor for 8 years. In May of last year, we made a decision to reopen all public services, and we were able to do that safely through a police department and our public services and our village administration. I think it's well beyond time that IDES does the same. They have an antiquated website. It's difficult to navigate. They have telephone response and a backlog that is severely lacking. It still takes weeks, sometimes months, to get callbacks. And the staff, unfortunately, has been often rude to the constituents in my district, and these are constant complaints. Claimants routinely experience hang-ups and disconnections. The fact that the physical offices are not open due to safety concerns needs to end. I understand there was an incident over a year ago with graffiti and windows at the Springfield office, but it's time to reopen. The Secretary of State offices have been open successfully for almost a year, serving thousands safely and efficiently. There is still a ridiculous time lag, and as an employer in the state, as a former employee, we're up to 9 months to train individuals from the day they show up at IDES to when they're proficient in their jobs. To me, this is completely unacceptable, and it speaks loudly to the oversight by the governor and by those that are at IDES. Finally, I want to say this. For the people in the state of Illinois, there's 2 things that have happened to them. Number one, COVID and the outbreak has been absolutely horrific and terrible. We're getting beyond that point. The second thing that has been done to those that want to get back in the workforce is those that attend public schools, their children have been held out. So both of these, in my opinion, need to end. They need to end now. And in so doing, we're going to, as Dan mentioned, and as I mentioned on the floor the other day, we're going to incentivize people to get back into the workforce, into the workplace, and grow Illinois again. And that's the only way we can build the middle class. These jobs that are available out there in my district in manufacturing are jobs in the mid-20s with benefits, well above a living wage. So let's get people back to work in the state of Illinois, and I thank you for attending today.
Thank you. Good morning. I am State Representative Amy Ellick of the 111th District, and I represent portions of Madison County and Jersey County. I stand here today and share Marty's frustrations as well with the Illinois Department of Employment Security that I've had since when I first took office in January. It's been over a year since the forced closures, and I still have constituents that meet the qualifications for unemployment who have not received their unemployment assistance. For many of my constituents, they are returning to work and are ready to work. However, they went a whole year without a paycheck. They are behind on rent, taxes, car payments. They need help now, not tomorrow, not next week. They need help now. Back in March, 21 of my House Republican colleagues and I sent a letter to IDES following the joint hearing with the Unemployment Agency held on March the 4th. At this hearing, several representatives from both sides of the aisle gave examples of the severe hardships that our constituents have had to endure in dealing with the department in trying to get unemployment benefits owed to them. We pleaded with the department in the hearing and requested that our legislative offices be able to have phone calls and hold video conferences in our district offices between claimants and IDES agents to provide the most effective and efficient resolution to these most severe and distressing and extreme hardship cases. We believe that direct contact with IDES is the most effective way to handle emergency cases that have stretched for many weeks, leaving citizens on the verge of losing their cars, their homes, and the ability to care for their families. 2 months after sending the letter, my office received a response from IDES on May the 10th. It wasn't very helpful. It referred us to their callback system as an example of a convenient and efficient system, and then referred our office to another state agency, DHS, to help constituents with housing programs. Not any help with processing their unemployment claims, mind you. So enough is enough. No more excuses from IDES. Open your offices throughout the state, and please get back to work for the people of the state of Illinois. Thank you. I'll introduce my colleague, Representative Joe Sasnowski.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here. Representative Joe Sasnowski out of Rockford. I represent Winnebago and Boone County. Just want to expound on what several of the colleagues spoke about in regards to IDS. And, really the lack of management, the lack of leadership, and horrible customer service that residents of Illinois have experienced from the IDS Unemployment Office. We filed a resolution, House Resolution 226. It's a bipartisan resolution. I have over 30 co-sponsors, Democrats and Republicans from different parts of the state, all attesting to the same concerns that we're addressing here. Essentially, the unemployment offices need to reopen. You've heard from my colleagues all the issues and problems that our residents, citizens of Illinois who are taxpayers, who have had with these offices, and it's just continued to go on. I've spoken on the floor in regards to this. Secretary of State Jesse White, his offices have been open since June 1st, serving constituents. I was proud to be able to take my 16-year-old there. He got his license. Yes, he had to wait in a little bit of a line. In-person service has been open by the Secretary of State since June with little interruption. There is absolutely no reason why the unemployment offices are not available to serve our constituents. As was mentioned, residents are waiting weeks, months. At one point, we had almost 200,000 outstanding calls in the queue. And I received a letter back in response, a nice letter from the acting director with the governor's name at the top. And I want to read just one brief sentence from this. With call center productivity at an all-time high, we are mindful that agency employees moving to in-person service would result in the department serving fewer residents. And in response to questions regarding this, the governor has said, well, they're working on it, they're looking at it, maybe this summer sometime will open. The acting director has basically alluded to the same thing. They have no plans to reopen, and it's absolutely outrageous. We have residents, employees of the Chrysler plant who are on temporary unemployment. They can't get calls back. As legislators, we try to advocate on behalf of them. We don't get calls back. We send names to their legislative liaisons. They get entered into some system somewhere. People are not being served properly. And as was mentioned, many of these problems are complicated. It's just not, quick phone call, 30 seconds. Having that in-person opportunity to work on issues of fraud, issues of complicated problems where additional paperwork needs to be taken care of. Again, not everybody needs the in-service attention, but the offices need to open immediately.